To be ignored is among the deepest pains a person can experience. It is a wound not of the flesh but of the heart, a silent rejection that whispers, "You do not matter." This pain does not strike like a sword but lingers like a cold wind, chilling the soul. But what if this pain is not a curse but a lesson? What if, instead of seeking warmth from others, one discovers a fire within? Zen teaches that all suffering arises from attachment, and being ignored is no different. The one who seeks recognition from others remains bound by their judgments, while the one who learns to stand alone becomes truly free. The great masters have always taught, a tree that grows alone in the wild does not fear the axe. A river that carves its own path does not beg for direction. The one who walks without seeking company knows no chains. This is the story of a young seeker who, after being abandoned and ignored, discovered the deepest truth: when no one walks beside you, it is time to find your own path. The unseen shadow. There was a boy who longed to be recognized, to be accepted. He would listen intently when others spoke, hoping to be included. He would offer his hands in work, hoping to be valued. He would smile at everyone, hoping they would smile back, but time passed, and the world remained indifferent. When he spoke, others continued their conversations as if he were silent. When he offered help, others took it without gratitude, as if it were expected. When he smiled, some returned it out of politeness, but many looked past him as if he were air. At first, he thought this was a mistake. Perhaps he was too quiet. He tried speaking louder, but his words still went unheard. Perhaps he was too weak. He worked harder, but no one noticed. Perhaps he was not kind enough. He gave more, but the more he gave, the less they cared. One evening, he sat alone under a tree, watching the sun set. His heart was heavy. Why am I invisible? Do I not exist? A gentle wind blew through the trees, rustling the leaves. And in that rustling, he heard a truth: the leaf does not ask the wind to notice it. The mountain does not seek the approval of the sky. Why then do you beg to be seen? And for the first time, he began to wonder, what if being ignored was not a punishment, but a path? The mirror of solitude. Determined to understand, he stopped seeking attention. He no longer forced himself into conversations. He no longer offered help to those who did not appreciate it. He no longer waited for a smile before feeling happy. Days passed, and he realized something astonishing: his heart felt lighter. The chains of expectation had loosened. He no longer worried about who noticed him or who did not. The air tasted fresher, the sky looked wider. And silence, once painful, now felt peaceful. One day, as he was walking through a dense forest, he saw a lone wolf drinking from a stream. The wolf was not part of a pack. It did not seek company. It moved with a quiet strength, unburdened by the need for recognition. As he watched, he thought, this wolf is not ignored, it is free. It does not depend on others to tell it who it is. And suddenly, he understood, to be ignored is painful only when you believe you need others to define you. But when you define yourself, silence is no longer loneliness, it is independence. This realization settled deep within him, and he felt something shift. The pain of being ignored was not a curse, it was an invitation to find himself. The rising mountain. As he embraced his solitude, something unexpected happened. His mind became clearer. He noticed things he had ignored before: the way the wind carried scents, the subtle shifts in the clouds, the quiet hum of the earth beneath his feet. With no one to distract him, he turned inward, discovering strengths he never knew he had. He became sharper, wiser. His movements became more confident, his thoughts more steady. He no longer needed approval, for he had found self-assurance. One evening, he climbed a high peak, standing alone at the top. Below, the world stretched endlessly, vast and indifferent. Yet he did not feel small. He felt whole. A thought rose within him: the mountain does not lower itself to be noticed. It rises because that is its nature, and so he resolved, he would rise, not for the eyes of others, but because he was meant to. The return of the ignored one. With this new understanding, he returned to where he had once been invisible. But something had changed. Though he still did not seek attention, people now noticed him. They saw the quiet strength in his posture, the calm confidence in his gaze. When he spoke, others listened. Not because he was loud, but because his words carried weight. When he walked, others followed. Not because he asked them to, but because his path was clear, and yet, he did not need their recognition. He did not depend on their approval. He was no longer the one who begged to be seen, he was the one who had learned to see himself. The hidden gift of being ignored. 1. The illusion of recognition. Most people believe that being seen, heard, and acknowledged is proof of their worth. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek validation, praise from parents, approval from teachers, acceptance from peers. We equate being noticed with being important. But this is a trap. Zen teaches that all suffering comes from attachment, and one of the strongest attachments is the desire to be recognized. But what happens when the world does not notice you? The heart aches, the mind doubts, and a question arises: am I insignificant? But significance is not something others give you, it is something you awaken within yourself. If a diamond lies buried underground for 1,000 years, does it cease to be a diamond? If the stars shine in the sky, unseen by human eyes, are they any less luminous? True worth does not come from the eyes of others. It comes from within. 2. The false security of belonging. The fear of being ignored is deeply tied to the fear of isolation. We believe that to be unnoticed is to be alone, and to be alone is to be weak. But this, too, is a falsehood. Consider the great Zen masters, the sages of old. Did they seek large crowds? Did they chase after attention? No. They walked alone, and in their solitude, they discovered the greatest truths. A bird in a cage is surrounded by others, yet it is not free. A tiger in the wild walks alone, yet it is the master of its domain. Belonging, when based on dependence, is weakness. True strength is standing firm in your own presence, whether others acknowledge you or not. 3. The transformation of pain into freedom. At first, being ignored feels like a wound. The mind resists, asking, "Why am I unseen?" But this pain is not meant to break you, it is meant to awaken you. When no one acknowledges you, you have two choices: become desperate, chasing after recognition, turn inward and discover your own power. The second path is the way of Zen. The moment you stop seeking, you become unshakable. The moment you stop needing, you become free. Imagine a lone tree standing in the middle of an empty field. It does not beg for the sky to notice it. It does not ask the wind to admire its branches. It simply grows, and in its silent strength, it reaches the heavens. This is the path of those who transcend the pain of being ignored. They do not seek recognition, they become so complete in themselves that recognition becomes irrelevant. 4. The power of detachment. Zen wisdom teaches, when you no longer need, everything comes to you. This is the paradox of detachment. The more you crave recognition, the less you receive it. The more you let go, the more naturally it comes. When the young seeker in our story stopped chasing attention, something extraordinary happened. People began to notice him. Not because he demanded it, but because he had transformed. His presence became undeniable, not through words, but through silence. This is the lesson: true power does not seek, it radiates. The river does not chase the sea, yet it flows toward it effortlessly. The sun does not beg to be seen, yet all life turns toward it. Detach from the need for validation, and you will become undeniable. 5. The final truth: you are complete as you are. The greatest realization in Zen is that you are already whole. You do not need to be acknowledged to exist. You do not need to be praised to have value. A mountain stands tall, whether anyone admires it or not. A lotus blooms, whether anyone witnesses it or not. A wise person walks their path, whether anyone follows or not. If the world ignores you, take it as a gift. It is life's way of telling you to stop looking outward and start looking inward. It is a sign that you are ready to stand alone, not in sorrow, but in strength. For the one who no longer needs to be seen is the one who truly sees, and in that vision, there is ultimate freedom. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. There is an ancient teaching that says, when you betray a loyal heart, the silence that follows will echo the greatest lessons of life. This idea, rooted deeply in Zen and Buddhist philosophy, illuminates the profound interconnectedness of actions, consequences, and self-awareness. Loyalty, like a flowing river, nurtures relationships, while betrayal, like a sharp rock in its path, disrupts the harmony, causing ripples that cannot be undone. The silent response of a betrayed soul is not weakness, it is wisdom in action. It is a mirror reflecting the transgressor's heart. Through this story, we explore the profound nature of loyalty, the sting of betrayal, and the transformative power of silent retribution. Each moment holds a teaching, and within the silence, the most profound truths emerge: the thread of trust. In a small community lived a wise and loyal man known for his quiet strength and boundless kindness. He was a source of guidance, often helping others with words of wisdom and acts of compassion. Those who knew him marveled at his unwavering loyalty and generosity. His actions reflected his belief in the interconnectedness of all beings, a cornerstone of Buddhist teachings. One day, a friend approached him seeking help. This friend was burdened with a weighty problem that seemed insurmountable. Without hesitation, the loyal man extended his support. He offered his time, resources, and unwavering trust. The bond between them grew stronger, seemingly unbreakable, but as the seasons changed, so did the heart of the friend. Greed and envy crept into his soul, distorting his view. Instead of cherishing the loyal man's support, he saw an opportunity to exploit it further. Deceit replaced gratitude, and betrayal quietly took root, the silent realization. One day, the loyal man discovered the betrayal. It was not through confrontation or confession but through the subtle unraveling of truth, as it always does. The betrayal was undeniable, a sharp wound to the heart. But instead of reacting with anger or despair, the loyal man chose silence. This silence was not emptiness. It was filled with the weight of understanding, a deep realization of impermanence and the nature of human suffering. He turned inward, reflecting on the teachings of impermanence and the Eightfold Path. He saw the betrayal not as a personal affront but as a mirror of the betrayer's inner turmoil. The loyal man withdrew his support, his presence, and his energy. He did not seek revenge, nor did he confront his betrayer. Instead, he allowed the natural consequences of actions to unfold, adhering to the Buddhist principle of karma. Every action has a reaction, and every cause leads to an effect, the ripple of karma. As time passed, the betrayer began to feel the absence of the loyal man's presence. The once steady flow of kindness and support was gone, replaced by the stark reality of his choices. The silence spoke louder than words ever could. He started to notice how others distanced themselves, mirroring the loyal man's silent disapproval. The betrayer's reputation began to crumble, not because of accusations but because the truth had a way of surfacing on its own. Struggling with guilt and regret, the betrayer sought solace in introspection. He remembered the loyal man's wisdom and kindness and realized the depth of his mistake. His betrayal was not just an act against the loyal man but a betrayal of his own integrity and values, the return to Dharma. One day, unable to bear the weight of his guilt, the betrayer sought out the loyal man. He knelt before him, seeking forgiveness, his voice trembling with remorse. The loyal man, with the calmness of a still lake, simply looked at him and said, "The lesson you seek is not in my forgiveness but in your understanding." This simple statement held the essence of Zen philosophy. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past but about understanding the present. The betrayer realized that his pain was not punishment but a natural consequence of his actions. In his silence, the loyal man had offered the greatest teaching, the truth of cause and effect, the law of karma, the blossoming of wisdom. The betrayer, transformed by this lesson, began his journey of redemption. He embraced the principles of mindfulness and compassion, seeking to rebuild his life and relationships. Through meditation and self-reflection, he found peace within himself and learned to value loyalty and trust. The loyal man, observing from afar, saw the change and felt no need for acknowledgement or gratitude. In his heart, he knew that the silent lesson had fulfilled its purpose. The betrayer's transformation was proof of the power of stillness, a testament to the Buddhist teaching that wisdom arises not from words but from understanding, the depth of silent wisdom. The story of betrayal and silent retribution resonates deeply with the teachings of Zen and Buddhism because it reflects the nature of human relationships, the workings of karma, and the path to inner peace. Each part of the narrative offers profound insights that serve as stepping stones toward enlightenment and understanding, the nature of loyalty. Loyalty is not merely an emotional bond but a reflection of trust, respect, and selflessness. It is an extension of the Buddhist principle of right intention, one of the elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. The loyal man's actions were rooted in genuine care, free from expectations or attachments. This kind of loyalty is rare and sacred, yet it is also fragile, susceptible to the temptations of greed, envy, and ego, the betrayal did not diminish the value of his loyalty. Instead, it amplified its importance, illustrating the pain that arises when such a bond is broken. The lesson here is that loyalty should be cherished, for its absence creates a void that is not easily filled, silence as strength. When faced with betrayal, the loyal man's silence was not a sign of weakness but an act of profound wisdom. In Zen teachings, silence is often seen as the ultimate expression of truth. Words can be manipulated, misunderstood, or ignored, but silence carries an undeniable weight. This silence allowed the betrayer to confront his own actions without external interference. It mirrored his wrongdoing back to him, forcing him to face the consequences of his choices. The loyal man's restraint demonstrated the Buddhist principle of non-attachment. By not clinging to anger or seeking revenge, he freed himself from the cycle of suffering, the law of karma. Buddhism teaches that karma is not about punishment or reward but about the natural unfolding of actions and their consequences. Every thought, word, and deed plants a seed, and these seeds eventually bear fruit. The betrayer's actions set a chain of events into motion, leading to his eventual realization and redemption. The loyal man understood this law deeply. Instead of interfering, he allowed karma to take its course. His silence became the fertile ground where the betrayer's lessons grew. This reflects the Buddhist belief that personal growth and understanding cannot be forced. They must arise naturally through self-reflection and experience, compassion in stillness. Despite the betrayal, the loyal man harbored no ill will. His silence was not a punishment but a compassionate act. He recognized that the betrayer's actions stemmed from ignorance, a central concept in Buddhist teachings. Ignorance, or avidya, clouds judgment and leads to suffering. By stepping back, the loyal man gave the betrayer the space to confront his ignorance and grow from it. This is a profound form of compassion, one that prioritizes the long-term well-being of others over immediate gratification. It is a reminder that true compassion is not always about intervening. Sometimes it is about allowing others to learn their lessons in their own time, the power of reflection. The betrayer's transformation highlights the importance of self-reflection, a cornerstone of Zen practice. Through his suffering, he gained insight into his actions and their consequences. This aligns with the Buddhist concept of vipassana, or insight meditation, where one observes the nature of reality to develop wisdom and clarity. Reflection allows us to see beyond the surface of our actions and understand the deeper truths that govern our lives. It is through this process that the betrayer was able to rebuild his integrity and embrace the values he once ignored, the cycle of redemption. The story ends with the betrayer's redemption, a powerful reminder of the impermanence of human suffering. In Buddhism, the concept of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, teaches that nothing is fixed. Just as suffering arises, it can also dissolve through understanding and effort. The loyal man's silent teaching facilitated this transformation, proving that even the deepest wounds can lead to healing and growth. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the boundless potential for change. The teachings embedded in this story are universal, transcending time and culture. They remind us that betrayal, though painful, is an opportunity for profound learning. Loyalty, silence, karma, and compassion are not abstract ideals but practical tools for navigating the complexities of life. The loyal man's silence was a masterful act of wisdom, embodying the Zen principle that the greatest truths are often unspoken. His actions, and lack thereof, illustrate the transformative power of stillness, teaching us that sometimes, the most profound lessons are learned not through words but through them. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. In a serene village nestled between emerald hills and a river that sparkled under the sun's embrace, lived a wise and humble man. His life was one of simplicity and contemplation. Though he possessed great wisdom, he often kept to himself, interacting minimally with the village folk. Yet, his presence was felt deeply by those who sought the path to enlightenment and inner peace. One day, a young seeker from a distant land arrived in the village. He had heard tales of the wise man's teachings and believed that learning from him would bring clarity to his tumultuous life. Eager to attain wisdom, the seeker approached the wise man, who sat by the river, his eyes reflecting the tranquility of the flowing waters. "Master," the seeker began, bowing deeply, "I have traveled far to learn from you. Please, guide me on the path to inner peace and wisdom." The wise man looked at the seeker with gentle eyes and nodded. "Very well," he said softly, "but first, you must understand the importance of keeping certain things private. There are 7 veils of wisdom you must master. Each veil represents an aspect of your life that should remain guarded. Only by respecting these veils can you truly find peace and clarity." The seeker listened intently, his heart yearning for the wisdom the master promised. Thus began his journey to uncover the 7 veils of wisdom. The first veil, your ambitions. The wise man led the seeker to a quiet glade where the sun filtered through the trees, creating a mosaic of light and shadow. "The first veil," the master began, "is your ambitions." The seeker looked puzzled. "Why should I keep my ambitions private?" he asked. The wise man smiled. "Ambitions are the seeds of your future. When you speak too openly about them, you risk exposing them to the harsh elements of envy, doubt, and discouragement. Others may project their limitations onto you, causing you to question your path. By keeping your ambitions private, you protect them as they take root and grow. Share them only with those who nurture your dreams." The seeker nodded, understanding that his ambitions were sacred and needed protection. He vowed to keep them guarded, sharing only with those who would support and encourage his journey. The second veil, your family matters. Next, the wise man took the seeker to a clearing where a family of deer grazed peacefully. "The second veil," the master said, "is your family matters." The seeker watched the deer, feeling a sense of calm. "Why should family matters be kept private?" he asked. "Family is the foundation of your being," the wise man explained. "Your relationships with them are delicate and personal. When you expose your family's trials and tribulations to the world, you invite unnecessary judgment and interference. By keeping family matters private, you honor the sanctity of those bonds and protect them from external harm." The seeker reflected on his own family, realizing the wisdom in the master's words. He vowed to keep his family's affairs private, cherishing and protecting those bonds. The third veil, your good deeds. The wise man then led the seeker to a bridge that spanned a gentle stream. They stood in silence for a moment, listening to the water's soothing melody. "The third veil," the master said, "is your good deeds." The seeker was confused. "But shouldn't good deeds be shared to inspire others?" he asked. The wise man shook his head. "True good deeds are done selflessly, without the need for recognition. When you seek praise for your actions, you taint the purity of your intentions. By keeping your good deeds private, you cultivate humility and allow your actions to speak for themselves. The impact of your kindness will ripple out naturally, inspiring others through the example of your life." The seeker felt a deep sense of humility and vowed to perform his good deeds quietly, allowing their true essence to shine without the need for recognition. The fourth veil, your personal struggles. As the sun began to set, the wise man guided the seeker to a secluded grove, where the last light of day cast long shadows. "The fourth veil," the master began, "is your personal struggles." The seeker felt a pang of vulnerability. "Why should my struggles be kept private?" he asked. "Your struggles are a part of your growth," the wise man explained. "When you share them openly, you expose yourself to the risk of misunderstanding and pity. Others may judge you or offer unsolicited advice that can cloud your judgment. By keeping your struggles private, you preserve your dignity and focus on overcoming them in your own way and time. Share them only with those you trust deeply, who can offer genuine support without judgment." The seeker understood the importance of facing his struggles with quiet strength and vowed to keep them private, sharing only with those he trusted implicitly. The fifth veil, your financial situation. The following day, the wise man led the seeker to a market bustling with activity. They observed people bartering and trading goods. "The fifth veil," the master said, "is your financial situation." The seeker raised an eyebrow. "Why should my financial situation be kept private?" he asked. "Money is a powerful force," the wise man explained. "When you reveal your financial status, you open yourself to the influences of envy, greed, and manipulation. Others may seek to take advantage of you or judge you based on your wealth or lack thereof. By keeping your financial matters private, you maintain control over your resources and protect yourself from external pressures." The seeker realized the wisdom in keeping his financial situation private and vowed to manage his resources discreetly, avoiding unnecessary exposure. The sixth veil, your future plans. Next, the wise man took the seeker to a hilltop overlooking the village. They watched as the morning mist lifted, revealing the landscape below. "The sixth veil," the master began, "is your future plans." The seeker looked thoughtful. "Why should my future plans be kept private?" he asked. "Your future plans are the map of your journey," the wise man explained. "When you share them prematurely, you invite opinions and judgments that can alter your course. Others may project their fears and doubts onto your path, causing you to second-guess yourself. By keeping your future plans private, you allow them to evolve naturally, free from external influence. Share them only when necessary and with those who genuinely support your vision." The seeker understood the importance of guarding his future plans and vowed to keep them private, allowing his path to unfold organically. The seventh veil, your innermost thoughts. Finally, the wise man led the seeker to a quiet cave hidden within the forest. They sat in the stillness, the only sound being their breaths. "The seventh veil," the master said, "is your innermost thoughts." The seeker felt a deep sense of introspection. "Why should my innermost thoughts be kept private?" he asked. "Your innermost thoughts are the essence of your being," the wise man explained. "When you expose them to others, you risk misunderstanding and vulnerability. These thoughts are often raw and unfiltered, reflecting your true self. By keeping them private, you protect your inner sanctum and maintain your sense of self. Share them only with those who have earned your trust and can handle the depth of your inner world. The seeker felt a profound sense of understanding and vowed to guard his innermost thoughts. Sharing only with those who truly understood and respected his essence. Having revealed the 7 veils of wisdom, the wise man looked at the seeker with pride. You have now learned the importance of keeping certain aspects of your life private, he said. This wisdom will guide you on your journey to inner peace and clarity. The seeker felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He bowed deeply to the master, gratitude shining in his eyes. Thank you, master, he said. I will carry these teachings with me always. The wise man smiled and placed a hand on the seeker's shoulder. Remember, true wisdom is not only in knowing but in practicing. Guard these veils with respect and integrity, and you will find the peace you seek, with a heart full of gratitude and a mind enlightened by the Master's teachings. The seeker left the village, embarking on his journey with newfound clarity and purpose. He knew that the path to wisdom was a lifelong journey, but with the 7 veils of wisdom as his guide, he felt prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and so, the story of the 7 veils of wisdom spread, inspiring many to seek the path of inner peace and clarity by respecting the sanctity of their private lives. The wise man's legacy lived on, a beacon of light guiding seekers through the complexities of life, teaching them the profound importance of guarding their inner sanctum. Years passed, and the seeker, now an old man himself, returned to the village. His journey had taken him far and wide, and he had accumulated experiences and insights that shaped him into a figure of wisdom and compassion. He often reflected on the lessons he had learned from the wise man, realizing that each veil was not just a guard but a guide, leading him to deeper self-awareness and resilience. He noticed how his life had flourished under the protection of these veils. His ambitions had grown into reality, nurtured in the safety of his own heart. His family had thrived, shielded from the prying eyes and judgment of the world. His good deeds had multiplied, touching countless lives without the need for acknowledgement. His personal struggles had forged him into a person of strength and empathy, understood only by those who truly cared. His financial stability. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. Have you ever wondered, in a world full of noise, when is the right time to stay silent? The teachings of Gautama Buddha offer us profound wisdom on the power of silence. One of his famous sayings speaks to this directly: silence is better than 1,000 hollow words. But what does this mean? Why should silence, which may seem passive, hold such significance in our lives? There are moments when silence isn't merely about the absence of words but the presence of awareness, wisdom, and restraint. Let us embark on a story to explore 5 key situations where silence is more powerful than any words could ever be. 1. When words will only add fuel to anger. It was the season when the forest was at its most tranquil. Birdsong filling the air, and leaves gently rustling in the wind. But one day, a disciple approached a Zen master in great distress. His face was red with anger, his fists clenched tightly. "Master, I cannot bear the insults from another disciple," he fumed. "He has spoken harshly to me, questioned my integrity, and ridiculed my work. I must respond." The master calmly placed a hand on the disciple's shoulder and led him to the nearby stream. They sat by the flowing water for a long time, the sound of the gentle current filling the air between them. After what seemed like an eternity of silence, the master spoke. "When you are insulted, what burns more, your anger or the words of your opponent?" The disciple, still fuming, replied, "My anger, Master. It feels as if it consumes me." The master nodded. "If you respond in anger, you add to the fire within you and within him. But if you stay silent, that fire finds no fuel and must eventually die." In that moment, the disciple understood. Silence was not weakness, it was control, wisdom, and power over one's emotions. By staying silent, he would not fan the flames of conflict. He would allow the anger to dissipate within him and leave the other person's anger to burn out on its own. The master had shown him that silence was often the greatest response to anger, for nothing stings more than the absence of a reaction, Gautama Buddha once taught. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Silence, therefore, is the antidote. It creates space for calmness to return, for clarity to prevail, and for peace to settle in, too. When you are uncertain of the truth. Another day, the Zen master gathered his disciples for a discussion. A pressing question had arisen among the students regarding a complex teaching. Two of the disciples began arguing heatedly, each convinced they understood the truth of the lesson. Their voices grew louder and louder, each one desperate to prove their point. A third disciple, who had been silent throughout, watched the exchange with concern. Eventually, the Zen master turned to this quiet disciple and asked, "What do you think?" The disciple paused, bowing his head respectfully before replying, "Master, I do not know. I believe the lesson holds deeper truths that I have yet to comprehend fully. It would be wrong for me to speak without understanding." The master smiled gently, his eyes filled with approval. "You are wise to recognize the limits of your knowledge. Silence, in the face of uncertainty, is not ignorance, it is humility. It is a recognition that truth requires time to reveal itself." The other disciples, who had been arguing, fell silent. They realized that in their eagerness to be right, they had forgotten the importance of contemplation, of patience, and of allowing the truth to unfold in its own time. Buddha often reminded his followers, "Doubt everything. Find your own light." In this way, silence is essential when we do not fully understand. Speaking too soon or too confidently can lead us to spread misinformation or make errors in judgment. In these moments, silence is a form of wisdom, giving space for reflection and deeper understanding to emerge. 3. When your words will hurt someone unnecessarily. In the days that followed, a new test arose. One of the disciples made a mistake during his daily chores, causing a great inconvenience for the entire group. Anger and frustration surged through many of the students. They began whispering harsh words about the disciple behind his back, but one among them remained silent. Eventually, the mistake was brought to the master's attention. Instead of scolding or criticizing, the master simply smiled and said, "Mistakes are a part of learning. It is not the mistake that matters, but how we respond to it." The disciple who had remained silent came forward and said, "Master, I could have spoken ill of my fellow disciple. But I chose not to. I remembered the harm my words could cause." The master nodded. Indeed, words can be sharper than any sword, and they can leave wounds that take longer to heal. When you stay silent to avoid causing unnecessary harm, you practice compassion. Buddha once shared, "The tongue like a sharp knife, kills without drawing blood." This disciple understood that silence, when used to prevent harm, is an act of kindness. There are moments when speaking might satisfy our ego or allow us to release frustration, but if it comes at the expense of another person's dignity or peace, silence is the more virtuous choice. The disciple's silence had preserved harmony within the group. And the student who had made the mistake was given the chance to learn from it without enduring unnecessary ridicule. 4. When you are listening deeply. One quiet afternoon, the Zen master sat in meditation beneath a large tree, the sun casting dappled light upon the ground. A student approached, his face full of worry and confusion. "Master," he said, "I seek guidance, but I do not know where to begin. I have so many thoughts, so many questions." The master gestured for him to sit and said nothing for a long while. At first, the student grew impatient, wanting answers to his questions. But as the silence stretched on, he found himself slowly calming down. His racing thoughts began to settle. And in the stillness, he found clarity. After some time, the master finally spoke. True listening requires silence, not just of the mouth, but of the mind. Only when you are quiet within can you hear the answers you seek. The student, now understanding, bowed deeply. He realized that in his desperation for answers, his mind had been too noisy to hear them. The master had shown him that silence is a form of deep listening, both to others and to oneself. As Buddha once said, if you cannot find peace within yourself, you will never find it anywhere else. Silence allows us to hear not only the words of others but the wisdom that comes from within. By being silent, we create space for deeper truths to emerge. Truths that cannot be heard in the clamor of our minds. 5. When the moment is sacred. The final lesson came on a day when the sky was painted in shades of gold and crimson. The Zen master had invited his disciples to sit with him at sunset, a time he called the moment of stillness. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, the disciples sat in perfect silence, their breath synchronized with the natural rhythms around them. One disciple, overcome by the beauty of the moment, began to speak, but the master gently raised his hand, signaling for silence. The disciple fell quiet once more, understanding that no words were needed. As the last light faded from the sky, the master spoke softly. There are moments when words can never capture the essence of what is before us. These moments are sacred, beyond language. To speak during such times is to diminish their beauty. Silence is the only response that honors their profundity. The disciples, humbled by the experience, realized that silence is sometimes the only way to truly connect with the deeper, more spiritual aspects of life. In moments of awe, of wonder, of profound connection with the universe, silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is an acknowledgement of something greater than ourselves, something that transcends the need for words. Buddha once taught, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. In this moment of sacred silence, the disciples understood that the most meaningful experiences in life often require no verbal expression at all. They are to be felt, absorbed, and cherished in the quiet of our hearts. Through these 5 lessons, the disciples learned that silence is far from passive. It is an active force, one that holds wisdom, restraint, and profound compassion. Silence can prevent unnecessary conflict, foster deeper understanding, protect the feelings of others, allow for true listening, and honor the sacred moments in life. In a world where noise often dominates, the teachings of Zen and Buddhism remind us of the immense power that lies in silence. Gautama Buddha's wisdom, encapsulated in his teachings about the value of silence, offers us a path to greater peace, understanding, and harmony, as the Master once said to his disciples. In silence, you will find the answers you seek, the peace you desire, and the wisdom that will guide you. And so, they learn to embrace silence, not as an absence of sound, but as a presence of mindfulness, compassion, and understanding. Indeed, silence is often the greatest form of communication. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. Once upon a time, in a serene village nestled amidst lush green mountains, there lived a young man named Koji. Koji was known throughout the village for his gentle demeanor and peaceful nature. He spent his days wandering through the forests, meditating by the flowing streams, and helping his fellow villagers with various tasks. Despite his tranquil existence, Koji observed that many of his neighbors seemed to struggle with toxic morning habits that hindered their peace and well-being. As the sun rose one crisp morning, Koji decided to embark on a journey to enlighten his fellow villagers about these toxic morning habits. He knew that by sharing his wisdom rooted in Zen and Buddhist principles, he could help them cultivate a more harmonious and fulfilling way of life. 1. Waking up late, Koji noticed that many villagers had a habit of oversleeping, causing them to rush through their mornings feeling groggy and disoriented. He believed that starting the day with intention and mindfulness was essential for setting a positive tone for the rest of the day. So, he began his journey by visiting the home of a young farmer named Takeshi, who struggled with waking up late. As Koji gently knocked on Takeshi's door, he greeted him with a warm smile. Takeshi, still half asleep, opened the door with a puzzled expression. Koji sat down with him and shared the wisdom of waking up early to witness the beauty of the sunrise, allowing ample time for meditation and reflection before beginning the day's tasks. Takeshi listened intently, realizing that by waking up early, he could cultivate a sense of peace and serenity that would carry him through the day. 2. Skipping breakfast, Koji journeyed to the next house, where he found a young mother named Imiko rushing around frantically, trying to get her children ready for school. He noticed that she neglected to eat breakfast herself, opting instead to grab a quick cup of tea before tending to her family's needs. Sitting down with Imiko, Koji explained the importance of nourishing the body and mind with a balanced breakfast. He shared how skipping breakfast not only deprived the body of essential nutrients but also disrupted the natural rhythm of the day. Imiko listened attentively, realizing that by taking the time to nourish herself in the morning, she could approach her responsibilities with renewed energy and vitality. 3. Checking devices immediately. Continuing on his journey, Koji encountered a group of young villagers gathered around their smartphones, scrolling through social media feeds and responding to messages with bleary eyes. He gently reminded them of the importance of cultivating stillness and presence in the morning, free from the distractions of technology. Koji shared how constant exposure to screens disrupted the mind's ability to find peace and clarity. He encouraged the villagers to set aside their devices and instead connect with the natural world around them, whether through meditation, mindful breathing, or simply savoring the silence of the early morning hours. Inspired by Koji's words, the young villagers pledged to limit their screen time in the morning and embrace moments of quiet reflection. 4. Neglecting hydration. As Koji wandered further into the village, he noticed many villagers starting their day with a cup of coffee or tea, neglecting to hydrate their bodies after a long night's sleep. He understood that hydration was essential for replenishing the body's vital fluids and promoting overall well-being. Stopping by the home of an elderly woman named Satsuki, Koji shared the wisdom of starting the day with a glass of water, infused with lemon or herbs to awaken the senses and promote hydration. Satsuki listened intently, realizing that by prioritizing hydration in the morning, she could support her body's natural detoxification processes and feel more energized throughout the day. 5. Skipping physical activity. Continuing his journey, Koji noticed that many villagers neglected to incorporate physical activity into their morning routines, opting instead to remain sedentary until they were forced to rush off to work or school. He understood that movement was essential for promoting circulation, boosting energy levels, and enhancing overall mood. Stopping by the village square, Koji led the villagers in a series of gentle stretches and breathing exercises, encouraging them to awaken their bodies and minds with movement. He emphasized the importance of finding joy in physical activity, whether through yoga, tai chi, or a simple walk in nature. Inspired by Koji's guidance, the villagers pledged to prioritize movement in their morning routines, reaping the benefits of enhanced vitality and well-being. 6. Rushing through tasks. As Koji made his way through the village, he observed that many villagers approached their morning tasks with a sense of haste and urgency, rushing from one activity to the next without taking the time to savor the present moment. He understood that this frantic pace robbed them of the opportunity to find joy and fulfillment in their daily activities. Stopping by the home of a young craftsman named Hiroshi, Koji encouraged him to approach his work with mindful awareness, savoring each moment and finding beauty in the process. He shared the wisdom of the Japanese concept of ichigo ichii, which emphasizes the importance of cherishing each encounter as if it were a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Hiroshi listened intently, realizing that by slowing down and embracing the present moment, he could infuse his work with a sense of purpose and meaning. Inspired by Koji's guidance, Hiroshi pledged to cultivate mindfulness in his morning routine, savoring each moment and finding joy in the simple act of creation. 7. Negative self-talk. Continuing on his journey, Koji encountered many villagers who engaged in negative self-talk, berating themselves for perceived shortcomings and failures. He understood that this self-critical attitude hindered their ability to cultivate self-love and compassion, leading to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. Stopping by the home of a young woman named Yuki, Koji encouraged her to practice self-compassion and kindness towards herself. He shared the wisdom of Buddhist teachings, which emphasized the importance of cultivating a loving and accepting attitude towards oneself and others. Yuki listened intently, realizing that by replacing negative self-talk with positive affirmations and self-compassionate language, she could cultivate a deeper sense of self-worth and inner peace. Inspired by Koji's guidance, Yuki pledged to treat herself with kindness and compassion, embracing her imperfections and celebrating her unique gifts and talents. 8. Skipping mindfulness practice. As Koji continued his journey, he observed that many villagers neglected to incorporate mindfulness practice into their morning routines, failing to take the time to cultivate present moment awareness and inner peace. He understood that mindfulness was essential for navigating the challenges of daily life with grace and equanimity. Stopping by the village temple, Koji led the villagers in a guided meditation, inviting them to anchor their awareness in the present moment and cultivate a sense of inner stillness and tranquility. He shared the wisdom of Zen teachings, which emphasized the importance of mindfulness in awakening to the true nature of reality. The villagers closed their eyes and followed Koji's gentle guidance, feeling a sense of peace and serenity wash over them. Inspired by the practice of mindfulness, they pledged to incorporate meditation into their morning routines, cultivating a deeper sense of presence and awareness with each passing day. 9. Skipping gratitude practice. As Koji made his way through the village, he noticed that many villagers neglected to express gratitude for the blessings in their lives, instead focusing on their worries and struggles. He understood that cultivating gratitude was essential for fostering a sense of abundance and contentment, even in the face of adversity. Stopping by the village marketplace, Koji gathered the villagers and invited them to participate in a gratitude practice. He encouraged them to reflect on the blessings in their lives, both big and small, and to express appreciation for the abundance that surrounded them. As the villagers took turns sharing their gratitude, a sense of warmth and connection filled the air. They expressed thanks for the beauty of nature, the love of family and friends, and the simple joys of everyday life. Inspired by the practice of gratitude, they pledged to cultivate a mindset of appreciation and abundance, recognizing the countless blessings that filled their lives each day. 10. Starting the day with negativity. Finally, Koji addressed the most pervasive toxic morning habit of all, starting the day with negativity. He observed that many villagers allowed their worries and anxieties to cloud their minds from the moment they woke up, setting a negative tone for the rest of the day. Stopping by the village pond, Koji gathered the villagers and invited them to participate in a ritual of letting go. He encouraged them to release their worries and fears into the water, allowing the gentle ripples to carry them away. As the villagers let go of their burdens, they felt a sense of lightness and liberation wash over them. They realized that by releasing negativity, they could create space for positivity and joy to enter their lives. With a sense of gratitude and renewal, the villagers pledged to start each day with a mindset of positivity and optimism, embracing the endless possibilities that lay before them. As Koji concluded his journey through the village, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment knowing that he had helped his fellow villagers break free from toxic morning habits and embrace a more mindful and fulfilling way of life. With each step he took, he carried with him the wisdom of Zen and Buddhist teachings, guiding others on the path to inner peace and awakening. And so, the village flourished, filled with a sense of harmony and tranquility that emanated from the hearts of its inhabitants. And Koji, with a peaceful smile upon his face, continued his journey, spreading love and wisdom wherever he went. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.